Over the weekend, the Michigan Senate race took the national stage as progressives from all across the country converged on the state to throw their support behind Abdul al-Sayed for Senate. And it seems to have worked, with this new internal poll from the al-Sayed campaign revealing a 56-40 split in favor of Abdul, a 16-point difference in candidates. Now, of course, we have to mention that this is an internal poll, which will favor the candidate, but 16 points is a lead that will be very hard for Stevens to overcome, and she is now panicking, paying influencers $1,500 just to say nice things about her to try to generate some goodwill. Take a look.
So apparently, this is a confidential document. It's covered by an NDA. The only problem is I never actually signed an NDA. So, shh, let's not tell anyone. Let's go through it together. It's an influencer brief from the Haley Stevens Senate campaign in Michigan. Right at the top, it says that the rate for this video is $1,500. So apparently, that's the going rate for a do-nothing candidate.
It has also just been revealed that two of Trump and the GOP's largest donors, Paul Singer and Jan Cohen, are the largest individual donors to a super PAC that is supporting Haley Stevens. Just goes to show you, again, that the interests of corporations and private equity and Israel are much more important to Haley Stevens than actually being a Democrat fighting Donald Trump and the conservative agenda. After being exposed for this, however, Stevens has now resorted to her favorite pastime and only real policy position, which is defending Israel. Just earlier this week, she called for sending unconditional aid to the nation. Take a look.
Do you think there should be conditions on the aid the United States sends to Jerusalem and Tel Aviv?
Absolutely not. I'm not for conditions, particularly in this circumstance. That's what detractors of Israel are pushing for. And we have a country, a very close ally of the United States, the only democracy in the Middle East that has been attacked, that's in the middle of a war. We should have done this yesterday. I'm pushing to provide the aid to Israel, continue to support the funding for the Iron Dome, which is technology that prevents those missiles that are being fired at Israel every single day from harming more civilians.
I swear to God, her only policy position is to keep giving billions upon billions of dollars to the nation state of Israel. She has nothing else. Her campaign is just completely captured by special interests, whether that be corporations or nations like Israel, and she just has the audacity to say that Abdul is the one obsessed with making this race about Israel when this is what she says.
And we are here in the beautiful country of Israel.
It is an amazing time to be in Israel. I am myself a Zionist, and I am not Jewish, and I am proud of that designation.
On my primary election night, I wanted to thank AIPAC and the pro-Israel community.
That was 20 seconds of a 2-minute supercut, by the way, just so you kind of get the scope of what we're talking about here. Because the truth of the matter is, in fact, Haley Stevens is the one who is making this race all about Israel by taking millions upon millions of dollars of AIPAC money. And, of course, she's not just a friend to Israel. She's a friend to every single corporate interest willing to throw dollars at her campaign. Just check out this image right here. Yes, these are all donors to the Haley Stevens campaign, from McDonald's, AT&T, Verizon, Goldman Sachs, BlackRock, Boeing, all of it, right? And again, this means something, right? People give money to a campaign for a reason, and as AOC said over the weekend while rallying for Abdul, that $50 million does not come for free.
Do you think that $50 million is for free? Do you think that $50 million is an act of charity? We know how this works. There's $50 million in this race because they're expecting a return. It's an investment. And how they make back their money is by allowing all of this stuff to continue so that you pay more and more into their pockets. That's what that $50 million is about. So we can choose that, or we can choose Dr. Abdul al-Sayed for the United States Senate.
And AOC is right on the money here. I guess in this instance, she literally is right on the money. But anyway, AOC is talking about here the corporate campaign finance system, right? And how for months, Abdul has actually been calling for this system to be removed or overhauled, because this system is corrupt and wrong and is always slanted in favor of corporations and big donors rather than the people who actually elect politicians. It's just money speaks, right? And AOC wasn't the only one. Bernie also called out Haley Stevens over the weekend in this brilliant address. Take a look.
In all due respect to Haley Stevens, everybody, in all due respect to Congresswoman Stevens, everyone knows that this is not an election between her and Abdul El-Sayed. This is an election between Abdul and the billionaire class. That is what this election is about. A billionaire class which has already, and there are 2 weeks left to go in the election, has already spent $50 million against them. Now, I want everybody here throughout the state, people turning on the TVs and they see all these ads, I want you to ask yourself a simple question. Why are the richest people in the country spending tens and tens of millions of dollars to defeat Abdul El-Sayed? They understand quite correctly that when Abdul is elected to the Senate, he will work with me and other progressives in taking on the greed of the billionaire class and fight for an economy and a government that works for all of us, not just the 1%.
And Bernie is exactly right here. And that message that he sends really resonates with a lot of people. They get excited to support a candidate who will actually fight for working people. And that includes a senator who just endorsed Abdul El-Sayed that could be a game changer for his campaign.
I'm endorsing Abdul El-Sayed for Senate in Michigan. Abdul is the only candidate in this race not taking corporate money, and he's fighting to get money out of politics altogether. Abdul studied to be a doctor, and he's fighting for every single American to have affordable, high-quality health care. Abdul has been a card-carrying union member, and he's fighting for working people. That's why he's endorsed by the United Auto Workers, and he's growing a movement of working people all across Michigan. And that's why I'm endorsing Abdul.
Elizabeth Warren is one of the largest and most prominent left-leaning voices in the country, right? And she has now endorsed Abdul El-Sayed in a primary, right? In a primary against another Democrat. Not many people were expecting this, especially after she endorsed Mallory McMorrow, then she dropped out. So it's, a little bit of a mess there, but she just endorsed Abdul. And Abdul El-Sayed has responded to her endorsement saying, Senator Warren's vision for our future, one where corporations can't buy politicians and people can afford to put food on the table, speaks to Americans everywhere. She's been a generational voice for Americans who are tired of the status quo. Michigan needs unbought, principled leadership, and with Senator Warren's support, we can get rid of the chokehold that corporations have on our government. I'm so deeply grateful for her support and leadership and look forward to working with her in the Senate. We love to hear a bold statement like that. It's so nice to see. And after reading that statement, I can't help but get excited about Abdul, right? Or about just more potential progressives in the Senate, right? The upper chamber of Congress. In fact, it's not just Abdul. Troy Jackson just completely steamrolled his competition for the main Senate race. So in fact, we might get 2 progressive senators. And if you count James Tallarico out in Texas, we might actually get 3. It's absolutely unbelievable, but it's also a really exciting time to be a progressive in this country. And Abdul reminds us here that, of course, the work is just beginning and the world is kind of wacky right now. And we must find good leaders who will actually kind of get us out of this hell that we're living in. I mean, Jesus, RFK is in charge of public health here.
Can't even eat the lettuce. Gotta breathe the wildfire air. And they appointed RFK Jr. to be the health director. You laugh so you don't cry. But, it's no wonder that the dude whose best public health advice is that you got to drink raw milk is overseeing all of this.
Another amazing thing about Abdul that we see in clips like this is he's a good speaker, right? He's charismatic, he's quick, he's smart, he's clever. I mean, he's a doctor for Christ's sake, right? And he is now a new, strong, bold fighter for Michigan. And I think Bernie and AOC coming to Michigan, having a progressive leader like this, El Sayed, potentially becoming a senator, Michigan now stands as this kind of new frontier for progressive politics in the country, right? For a long time, it was New York, right? We had AOC, and now we have Zoran Mamdani, and a lot of progressives out in New York, and they just won a bunch of primaries out there. And now I think the leftist movement is looking at other places where they can really build strong grassroots campaigns, and Michigan is no exception. So Michigan can be a new frontier for progressive politics that will eventually spread all across the country, of course. And I think Abdul here is also extremely smart because he understands that this is just the beginning, right? And him getting into the Senate will just be the beginning of this larger progressive movement. So if you want more progressives in the Senate, be sure you subscribe to US Democratic Socialists for more news like this. But I've been Iago Lashua. I think that's all the time I have. Have a good day. Goodbye.